Alright, here we go, gentlemen. Are you ready?
It's GameCube Index, and this is Real Fighters, Real Fighting. At GameCube Index, we're pretty versed in physical combat thanks to our history looking at fighting games, but it's really hard to classify all of these titles as just fighting games because they're so differently nuanced. While Bloody Roar Primal Fury utilizes a transformation mechanic to turn into an animal-human hybrid, Capcom vs. SNK 2 EO aims for a classic arcade fighter, and Super Smash Bros. Melee utilizes crazy special moves and items as well as varied playing fields with terrain differences. WWE WrestleMania 18 and Legends of Wrestling are arguably the closest to consistency we've seen so far, and they will be our comparison point for this episode. But the debate over the superiority of MMA versus professional wrestling is as old as time. So really, UFC Throwdown may feel familiar, but it's different from anything that we've seen so far. The Ultimate Fighting Championship is known for being the flagship promotion company for mixed martial arts, and having been around since 1993, this isn't the first time they've backed a video game. Ultimate Fighting Championship garnered great reviews when it was released for the Dreamcast in 2000, but when Xbox received the exclusive UFC Tap-Out, it wasn't as well received, so expectations were running high for Throwdown on the GameCube and PlayStation 2. A big part of the appeal of UFC fights is how real they are, especially in a world where it is compared most often to the WWE, which is far more entertainment-based. Two fighters are locked in a cage and only one comes out standing, and the entire time spent inside is a display of peak human strength and conditioning. The realism of the sport is something that the dev team at Genki really tried to highlight with Throwdown, and it's evident not only in the game's serious presentation, but also the amount of blood splatter. You'll see it fly all over the place during a match, usually from your own face, but while it gives a feeling of intensity in the moment, it doesn't stick around on the mat or the players. As matches go on, you don't get the feeling that your punches and kicks are doing any lasting damage to your opponent, and it all just comes down to the health bar. Your standard fighting game mainstays are included in the game, such as Arcade Mode, Champion, Legend, Tournament, and Standard Exhibition modes. In all honesty, gameplay isn't that far off from wrestling games like WrestleMania that we've seen before, using the face buttons to perform a strike, use the triggers to block or grapple, and the end goal is to simply empty out your opponent's health gauge to secure a victory. You do, however, have the option to play as either a character of your own creation, or from one of over 25 UFC fighters, including Carlos Newton, Shoney Carter, Chuck Liddell, and then heavyweight champion Tito Ortiz, all of which bring their own style of fighting to the game. The biggest sense of realism is found in the flagship career mode, where you can create your own character and train them to be a champion. Now, create may be a bit of an overstatement. There's only a handful of preset body types, skin tones, faces, hairstyles, and shorts to choose from, so it's rare that the final product will look anything like you if that's what you're going for. The career mode is a tough beast to tackle when you get into it, as your character has absolutely no skills in the ring, and as you train against established MMA fighters, you gradually gain up skill by losing. The created character is so weak that my first few fights were knockouts without the opponent even hitting me. The physical motions of striking my opponent wore out my fighter and he passed out. This was rectified by dumping skills into things like stamina and life, but it takes a while to get there and it might not be the trek through the game everyone's looking for. That being said, it provides an almost forced replay value to the game for those who want to see their name on top. Throwdown is a tough video game. Your own punches and kicks wear you out and drop your health, and your opponent is usually a challenge even on easy mode. The UFC Octagon is designed in such a way that the audience is set pretty far apart from the action, which here leaves the whole thing with a very simulation type of feeling. It doesn't feel like an intense event, it just feels like two guys fighting in a box. The whole thing kind of come across as shallow, which falls in line with much of the criticisms at the time. There wasn't much grandeur in the way of presentation. That being said, it is a UFC licensed fighting game, so if you're into the feeling of repetitive matches, it's a great fit for you. But if you're not looking to grind through match after match, maybe Throwdown is a game that you should skip. That is it for this week's episode of GameCube Index. If you enjoy the videos every week, consider backing us on Patreon. Even $1 a month will do a lot to support the project and help improve the experience. It's entirely up to you. Either way, please continue to show your support by subscribing, sharing, following along on Twitter at GCIndex and at GCIndex.com. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next time when we remember that we're all Soul Skaters in aggressive inline.